All right, so are you ready to do a deep dive into something, something we all rely on literally every single day?
Yeah,
Our immune systems.
absolutely.
You guys have sent in some really interesting research on antimicrobial proteins
Hmm.
and also inflammation.
Right.
So what we want to do today is unpack those a little bit and see how they work together
Yeah.
to keep us healthy
Uh-huh.
and maybe even touch on the idea of a fever and why those
Yeah.
aren't actually always such a bad thing.
Yeah, it's a fascinating system.
Right.
I think the thing that always gets me is that it's always on, right?
Uh-huh.
It's not like it's just reactive, like waiting for something to happen.
Yeah.
It's constantly out there, like patrolling, like looking for anything suspicious.
Yeah, and they're ready to neutralize it,
Well, and what's amazing is that all these different parts of the immune system
Yeah.
somehow know how to work together.
Yeah.
Right? So we've got these things, these antimicrobial proteins acting as like the first line of defense.
So what are some of the key players in that?
Well, so one of the big ones is interferons.
Okay.
So what's so cool about these is that they're released by infected cells,
Right.
but they don't actually do anything to save that cell, you know?
Oh, interesting.
It's like, hey, I'm infected,
Right.
but everybody else, watch out.
Wow.
You know, like they're a warning signal.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, virus detected. Everybody boost your defenses.
So it's like this self-sacrifice for the greater good.
Yeah, exactly.
That's wild, but okay.
Yeah.
So how do the other cells boost their defenses?
So that's where some of our immune cells really come in.
Okay.
So like natural killer cells and macrophages.
That's okay.
Those are like,
I've heard of those.
they're like the warriors, you know?
Yeah.
So they can actually,
Yeah. So they're activated by the interferons.
yeah, exactly.
Wow.
So they go around and they're like seeking out anything that looks infected and then
Wow.
eliminating it before it can spread.
So it's like a microscopic battle going on inside of us.
Yeah, constant.
All the time. That's crazy.
It's really amazing.
But okay, so we've got the interferons, but that's not the only thing.
Yeah.
Right. What about this thing called the complement system? I've been reading about that.
Yeah. So the complement system,
Yeah.
that's another, it's like this whole cascade of proteins.
Right.
I think it's something like 30 different proteins
Yeah.
all working together to,
Working together.
take out these pathogens, the bad guys.
That's so complicated.
Yeah, and what's really cool is it has these two different pathways.
Oh, okay.
So you've got the alternate pathway
Okay.
and the classical pathway.
Right. So alternate first.
Yeah, so the alternate pathway is awesome because it's always on.
Okay.
So that's like the rapid response.
Right.
Anything that
Makes sense. You got to have something that's just ready to go.
exactly. It's
Oh,
like
right.
it's like having security guards just constantly patrolling the perimeter.
Yeah.
They don't need any special instructions. They're
Uh-huh.
just looking for anything suspicious.
Okay, cool.
And then you've got the classical pathway,
Right.
which that one's a little more, I guess targeted is the right word.
Okay.
It needs antibodies to activate.
Oh, right. Antibodies.
Yeah, so those are those proteins that
Yeah.
recognize very specific bad guys, right?
Oh.
So that's part of it's called the adaptive immune response.
Yeah.
So that's the one that learns and remembers,
Oh, interesting.
threats it's encountered before.
So it's like a slower response, but it's
Exactly. So you've got speed and then you've got precision,
That's really cool.
Yeah.
But okay, so we've got these two different pathways.
Yeah.
How do they actually do their job?
So both of them, they end up doing the same thing.
Okay.
They both form this thing called a MASI.
MSC.
Yeah, it stands for membrane attack complex.
Okay.
So what that does is it basically creates a pore, like a hole,
Oh, wow.
in the cell membrane of the pathogen. Yeah, so it basically makes it rupture and die.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
So it's literally punching holes
Yeah, it's like,
in the enemy.
yeah, it's like popping a balloon, right?
That's wild.
It just can't survive.
Okay, so we talked about antimicrobial proteins.
Yeah.
Let's switch gears a little bit and talk about inflammation.
Okay.
I think everybody listening knows what it feels like to be inflamed,
Right.
redness, swelling, the pain, all that stuff.
Yeah, no fun.
Not fun, but it's obviously
Yeah.
there for a reason.
It's definitely there for a reason.
So what's the deal with inflammation?
So I think inflammation gets, a bad rap
Yeah.
because it's uncomfortable,
Uh-huh.
but it's actually part of the healing process. It's like your body sending in all the repair crews,
Okay.
and initiating all the repairs after you've had like an injury or
Okay.
an infection.
So it's not just fighting the bad guys.
Yeah.
It's also like
It's the cleanup crew.
cleaning up the battlefield. Yeah, rebuilding.
Exactly.
It's got three main things that it's trying to do.
Yeah.
First, it's trying to contain, whatever the damage is,
Okay.
so it doesn't spread.
Makes sense.
Then It's trying to clear out any debris,
Okay.
any dead cells or pathogens, anything like that.
Right.
And then finally, it's got to actually rebuild, the tissue that was damaged.
Wow. It's a lot.
Yeah, it's a big job.
Okay, so how does it do that?
So the key players here are things called cytokines.
Cytokines.
Yeah, so they're like messengers, basically, between cells.
Okay.
They're these little molecules
Okay.
that kind of tell different cells what to do,
Oh.
where to go.
So are cytokines are they different from interferons?
Oh, that's a great question. Yeah.
Yeah.
So actually, interferons are a type of cytokine,
Oh, okay.
but there's lots of other kinds too.
Wow.
So for example, you've got interleukins.
Yeah, so those are involved in communication between different white blood cells.
Okay.
You've got tumor necrosis factor
Wow.
that helps to regulate the inflammation process.
Okay.
And then you've got these things called chemotactic factors.
Chemotactic factor.
Or the ones that are like, hey, come over here.
Oh, wow.
This is where the party's at,
So it's directing traffic.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, my goodness.
So it's really this whole cascade.
So inflammation's not just one thing. It's like this whole
It's this whole network
network of signals
and responses.
all working to restore balance.
Yeah, trying to get everything back to normal.
Oh, that's really interesting.
Yeah, and that kind of leads us to another fascinating part of the immune response,
Okay.
which is fever.
Oh, yeah. Fevers.
Yeah,
I think everybody's been there.
yeah, we've all experienced them.
But I don't think people always understand, why.
Yeah, it seems kind of counterintuitive, right?
Yeah.
Why would you want your temperature to go up when you're sick?
Yeah.
But it actually is a very clever strategy
Yes.
your body uses to fight infection.
Yep.
So what happens is you have this cytokine, it's called interleukin-1.
Interleukin-1, okay.
And that one acts as what we call a pyrogen, meaning it tells your body to turn up the heat.
Oh, wow.
So it sends a signal to your hypothalamus, which is kind of like your body's thermostat,
Right.
and says, hey, turn up the temperature.
Wow.
We need to make things a little hotter in here.
So it's not just like a side effect of being sick. It's
Well,
actually
It's an intentional response.
an intentional response. That's wild. But how does that actually help?
So it actually helps in a few different ways.
Okay.
So first of all, when your temperature goes up, your metabolism speeds up.
Oh,
And that actually helps your body to repair tissues faster.
okay.
Second, a lot of those pathogens, those bacteria and viruses,
Right.
they don't like it hot.
Oh, interesting.
So when your temperature goes up, they can't replicate as efficiently.
Oh, that's pretty smart.
Yeah. And then finally, a fever can actually enhance the activity of some of your immune cells.
So you're kind of creating this environment
Exactly.
that's hostile to the invaders,
Yeah.
but also helps your own defenses.
Yeah, it's like giving your immune system a little boost.
That's so cool. But, obviously we've all heard
Yeah.
that, if a fever gets too high,
Right.
it can be dangerous.
Absolutely. There's definitely a delicate balance there.
Yeah.
So moderate fevers, those are beneficial.
Right.
But if it gets too high, then that can actually start to cause problems. It can damage your own cells.
Okay.
So it's all about finding that sweet spot
Right.
where you're helping your body fight the infection,
Uh-huh.
but not causing any additional harm.
Yeah. So to recap, it's like we've got these
Yeah.
antimicrobial proteins, like the interferons,
Yep.
acting as the first line of defense.
Mhm.
We've got inflammation that's,
Calling in the reinforcement.
bringing in the repair crews.
And coordinating the repair.
And then we've got fever kind
Yeah.
of boosting things up.
Turning up the heat.
Yeah, it's like this really complex
It's an amazing system.
system that's all working together.
It really is.
That's really cool.
Yeah. And it kind of makes you think, right?
Yeah.
Like knowing how all of this works,
Yeah.
what are some things that you can do every day to
Yeah.
kind of help support your immune system?
Right. How to keep it running smoothly.
Yeah, exactly.
Something to think about.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us for this deep dive
Yeah, thanks for having me.
into the immune system.
This was fun.
Yeah, it was great.
Always love talking about this stuff.
Me too.
All right.
See ya.
See ya.